indulgence, we're ready to
I don't
proceed.
want us to debate the point I made, because I think the preliminary point has become, I think you should just leave that prayer. Prayer 2 must just be abandoned. And when you deal with prayer 3 and 4, I will tell you what my concern is.
Before the merits, may I? Did I get the impression that, but for our engagement, you were done with your submissions, Mr. Premier?
On the preliminary, yes, I think it's only fair that Ms. Hassan
Yeah,
gets an opportunity
that's where I want to go
respond.
to.
Absolutely.
That's where I want to go to.
Although
Are you accepting you abandoning 2 so that we don't need to debate?
I would prefer the Commission make a ruling against me rather than abandoning it.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Chair.
Ms. Hassim?
Thank you, Chair. I mean, in the light of the questions that came from the Commission, I can be brief just on the preliminary point. I think we should probably just get straight to the merits, because as Commissioner Baloyi says, this issue of the preliminary point has become academic. After the first, I think it was only after the first minute or two of my learned friend's address, we strayed right into the merits. And so part of what's been debated, in fact, concerns the merits of the application. But even though, that should be the end of it, I would like to say 1 or 2 other things. The first is that my learned friend says that he did not understand the session today to be a session in which it would be a public one. And I must say that's hard to understand in the light of the directive of this court on the 3rd of March.
Commission.
Pardon me, of the Commission. I must wear my other hat. In the light of the directive of this Commission on the 3rd of March, which stipulated that it would be heard in open session. Now, even if that were not a live broadcast, what it could not be understood as is to be a session that would be closed to the public. So even if it were not a television broadcast or live streaming on other platforms, this was going to be an open session, open to the public and open to the media. So any reporting or any coverage, photographs, anything would still be permitted in an open session. So it doesn't aid my learned friend to say that, understanding of what an open session was that it would be somehow closed and that it would only be perhaps the legal representatives and the commissioners. On the statement, let me say, the statement, it's always been the practice of the Commission, and there's never been a breach of confidentiality thus far, not in relation to this witness or in relation to any other witness on the side of the Commission staff or evidence leaders. So that is not something that ought to have given rise to some suspicion.
But on that, I can imagine that Mr. Premier will probably say neither he is instructing attorney nor Mr. Karim knew that procedure.
That was, and let me say that there has been some clarification in that regard, that statements that are given, the practice is witnesses provide statements to the Commission before they appear before the Commission to provide their oral evidence. It's only once the witness testifies that the statement becomes public. So it would only be on the determination of this application, which would then determine what kind of procedure follows next, that the statement would become public. That's the second thing. The third thing I want to say is that in relation to the perceived threats of the breach of the ruling of this Commission, it is important that witnesses understand, and the legal representatives, what the requirements are of the Commission and the status of rulings that are given by the Commission. So it wasn't in the nature of a threat. It was in order to advise the witness that you now are in breach of the ruling of the Commission, and it's important, and a duty, I would add, of the evidence leaders to protect the processes and the integrity of the processes of the Commission. So a ruling that says that the statement is to be provided on a certain date is that. It cannot be amended without the chair's reconsideration of the ruling, which would require an application, and there was none such application in that regard. And finally, on the statement, it really wasn't tied to the determination. It wasn't conditional on the outcome of the in-camera application, right? Because the statement is for the purposes of providing evidence to the Commission. So I just wanted to make those remarks with regard to the statement to clarify that. But I've also said what I've had to say about the ruling on the 3rd of March, that this was to be an open session. For me, that's where this preliminary debate would end. And so, and then given that the ship has sailed, we should probably proceed into the merits of the application. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Hassim. Mr. Premhid, one last. Yes.